Okay, yeah, so welcome to our second class. In our last class, we talked about programming languages, we talked about what they are, talked about JavaScript, talked about how to set up JavaScript, the different environments you can use to run JavaScript code, replit.com. You can also run it on your console, your browser console, when you inspect. We did that in the last class. You can also use your Visual Studio Code and install Node.js to get started with writing JavaScript codes and running them. So we'll continue from where we stopped in our last class. All right, so let me just quickly share my screen. So we'll pick up from where we stopped. All right. So remember, we had to create a folder. It's always good to create your folder first. So we did that on our desktop, DLES, the Life Entrepreneurship School. So from there, you can open up your Visual Studio Code. If you're using a Windows, the normal way you open up applications is what applies. So you just right-click on your Visual Studio Code on your Windows, and you click on Open, or you double-click, or you click it twice. Yeah, you click it twice, then it opens. It opens your Visual Studio Code environment. So this is mine. I'll open mine. Okay, so I have all these jobs. All right. So like I said, we would like to work on a temperature converter at the end of the session. Yeah, hopefully this class or the next, depending. So we already have this, but how did we get here? Some people may not know. So let's help those who may not be aware. So let's close this and open it again. Yeah, so this is a fresh window of Visual Studio Code. So definitely for every fresh window that opens, you're going to see, you would have something like this, new file open. So since we had already created a folder, so we just click on open. It takes us to the files and folders in our system. So we get to desktop. Yeah, that's where I created DLES. So click on DLES. Your own could be anything. Whatever you had, created your folder with. So you open and it spins it up. So yesterday we had created a file, or sorry, in our previous class, we had created a file called index.js. If you don't know how we did that, I could delete it. To delete is just you right click on it and you delete. So yeah, move to trash. So yeah, so already that goes. So if you are just starting out fresh, so you just click on this. Actually, if you hover on these icons, you actually see what they mean. So if you hover, you see new file, hover here, new folder, refresh, and all of that. So what we did was to go to new file, not folder now, file. Then we said index.js, and we open. All right, so we are here. Cursor is blinking, and how do we get started? So we get started with variables. Yeah, variables. So what did I do? Okay. So let's talk about comments first, because I actually want to be commenting as we are teaching. So to comment in JavaScript, a single line comment is // that's / but forward. Then you write anything. So with that, JavaScript will not get to run that code, that line of code. It will not execute it actually. So it will just pass it. And so you can write basically anything. So let's say you want to write variables. I want to start with variables. That's okay. So this is what we call single line comment. So let's do that. Single, gradually single line comment. So okay, I think I can increase. Let me see. Can I zoom in a little bit? Let me see. Oh, okay. Let me zoom in. Yeah. So I think it's zoomed in now. Single line comments. All right. So we also have, so single line comments comes with double forward slash. That's, so anytime you see double forward slash and anything that follows, that's a single line comment. So if you have multiple line comments, so you have forward slash, you have star, that's asterisk. Then you have whatever, let's say I am a good boy, for example, and you want to enter the next line, say this is a new line. So how do you end that? So you end that, because that's the end. I want to stop there actually. So you close it up with an asterisk and a forward slash and a forward slash. So that closes up the comment. So this is called multi-line comment. Multi-line comment. Yeah. So single line comments start with double forward slash. Multi-line comments, multiple line comments, if you like. It starts with a forward slash, asterisk, then whatever you want to comment, then ends with asterisk and forward slash. All right. So, sorry, it's actually getting dark. Let me just stop my video and continue with the recording. Okay. So variables. So under variables, we actually have what we call declaring a variable. Okay, let me use capital letter uppercase so that it will be a bit bold. Declaring a variable. We also have you assigning a variable. You also have reassigning a variable. All right. So what's a variable? We've been talking about variables. What are variables, or what is a variable? So in its simplest term, I just want to give an illustration because I believe sometimes it's difficult to figure out coding. Honestly, it's really difficult to understand it in your head. So if you could have some kind of explanations that bring in some real life scenarios, then I think it will be easier for this concept to stick. So what are variables? Let me just give an illustration. I think that would help. Variables are, let's say, for example, you have 3 wristwatches, and these 3 wristwatches came in a pack, in a box. So you have box 1, you have box 2, you have box 3. Let's say one of the wristwatches was Gucci, another one was Rolex, then another one was, say, Apple, for example. So, and they had their boxes, right? So the wristwatches are inside the boxes. So how do you assess the wristwatches? You assess the wristwatches by opening the boxes. So when you open the Apple box, you would see the Apple wristwatch. When you open the Gucci box, you will see the Gucci wristwatch. When you open the Rolex box, you will see the Rolex wristwatch. So what is that box in terms of a variable now? That box can be likened to a variable, right? So the variable is not the main thing, but the variable is a container holding the main thing. So that is, for me, that's the simplest way to understand what a variable is. So a variable is a reference in computer memory that holds data. It's a reference, remember. It's not the data itself, but it's the reference. So yeah, so going ahead, so we talk about declaring a variable. So how do you declare a variable? Now there are three keywords, three keywords, three keywords. And those three keywords are, we have var, we have lets, we have const. Var, let, const. So anywhere you see var, let, const in JavaScript, so you can have var, say var, var fruits, for example. Var fruits equals to banana, for example. Banana. Okay. So var fruit equals to banana. You could also have let's, like I said, let's keyword. So with this, you don't have an error. You can say let's furniture. Let's furniture equals to, okay. So what's this called? This is called, remember that's how to write comment. So this is called assigning. So I actually jumped from declare a variable to assigning. I'd go back to declaring. Assigning. So this, usually you're assigning a variable in this case. Assigning a variable. So how do you declare a variable? So you can say var fruits. So with this, what have you done? You've declared a variable. So you've declared a variable. So what's the variable name? Variable name is fruits. You see, so you declare another one, fruits, and you equate it to banana. So immediately you see an equal to sign after a variable and a variable name. So this var is called the var keyword, var, which is for variable var. What is fruit? Fruit is the name of the variable. So this is the keyword and this is the variable name. So when you see only the keyword and the variable name on a single line, that's called declaring a variable or variable declaration. So, but when you see variable, the variable keyword, the variable name, and you see an equal to sign, then there will definitely be something at the other end. And this whole line of code, this whole thing here that you are seeing, var fruit equals to banana, is called assigning a variable. So we are not just declaring, we have decided to assign the variable. So just look at this var fruit as an empty box. Let's say an empty box of wristwatch. There's no wristwatch, but it's an empty box. So when we say var fruit equals to banana, it means that empty box of fruit we've carried banana, we've put inside. So now we now have data. What's data? Data is banana. So that is, in computer terms, it's called data. So, but that data is the banana. So with this, we have assigned a variable. So now, so we can also have, in this declaring a variable, we can also have let's keyword, sorry, small letter, not capital letter. So you can also have let's baskets, just an arbitrary name, const. I just want to show you all the keywords I talked about. Const school, for example. Const school. So there's something here. Okay, const declarations must be initialized. Okay, so it's telling us that for constants, for the const keyword, you can't just say const school like you can say to var fruit and let basket. you know. So for const, immediately you say const school, you must equate it to something, meaning that you must assign it to a value. So if you say const school, you must say const school equals to something. So you can say const school equals to maybe Deeper Life High School. So Deeper Life High School. Okay, yeah. So that is it. Deeper Life High School. So with this, what have you done? You've assigned this variable. Assign this variable, right? So this one you've declared. This one is declaration. Don't forget. Yeah. So this is assigned. So you can, so now you've assigned here. Then you have const, you've also assigned. You can also have late furniture equals to something. Even as it is empty like this, you've still assigned. You can still say you've assigned a variable. So look at the differences. Oh, let me just close this. So look at the differences: declaring, assigning, reassigning. Reassigning is that you already said fruit equals to banana. So you can come here again and you say fruits. Sorry, let me use lowercase. So you can say fruit equals to orange. So when you ask your computer to tell you what fruit is, you see that, okay, so let me show you. Console.log. Remember I said console.log is a way of outputting your code. So let me just put that in the comments. So outputting or printing the output of your code. Okay, printing the outputs of your code. Yeah. So that's what console.log does. But console.log, you have to give it something. You see, this parenthesis here is asking for something. Something must be inside here. You can't console log an empty parenthesis. So what do we want? We want to see what fruit is. So you can say console.log fruit, right? So we run this code. How do we run this code? Okay, so let's open up our terminal. Give me a second. Okay. All right, so your terminal incoming. Okay, so your terminal is here. So immediately you click terminal, then you see new terminal. So you click. Do you see something happened? Let me push this up. Okay. So do you see something happen? Something came out here, which is this. So from here, you can increase, you can reduce, right? So that's exactly what we did. So to run this code, because we want to console log, we want to see the outputs. What's the output of fruit? What is fruit? So we said console.log. And remember, to see the output, you have to do console.log. That's the syntax. All right. So how do you run this code to see the outputs? So remember, we had installed Node.js. If you don't have Node.js installed, then this code will not run on your system. But if you do, then you can go ahead. So you just type Node, or to check if Node is installed in your system. So what you do is Node, I think -v, let me check it out. Okay, bad option. So you have Node-v, that should work. All right. So do you see? In order to check if Node is installed, so you just do Node-v, or you do Node-version. Yeah, I think that works. Version. Yeah. So you see version 16.17.1. It means I have node installed on my system and my code can run. But if you don't have, you would see that you would have an error. Okay, so if you have that installed, let's move. You have node. So when you type node, then the next argument or the next thing that follows is a space. After space, then index.js. That's the name of the file, not the name of the folder now, the name of the file. So the name of the file here is index. Make sure you don't make mistakes, because in coding it's very important that you don't make mistakes in your spelling. If not, you have an error. Any little misspelling that you have an error. So that's why it's very important to be very attentive to what you are doing. So if you say node index.js, then you press enter. You see banana. Can you see banana here? That's what this line of code, line 25, is what is outputting banana. So to show you that that's what is that line of code. So let's do something like this. Don't worry about this. I just want to show you what I'm doing. Like I just want to show you that that line of code is what is running. So you can say my fruit, for example. You can say my fruit is fruit. Yeah. So my fruit is then fruit. So if you now do node again, node index.js. So when you enter, so what do you see? This is the output. My fruit is banana. So that's what you see at the output, meaning that it is this line 25, remember, that is running. All right. So now, so remember, it's showing us banana. But let us say, then I now said, because you're talking about reassigning a variable, they are now came down here and now said fruit again. That same fruit that I said was banana, now say fruit equals to orange, right? So let us see console.log. Let's see what fruit is. So fruit 2, let's just say fruit 2. Fruit 2 is, so let's just say fruit 2 is, then we say fruits. Just, we are still console logging fruits. But if we run this code, so to see the output, remember, don't forget, node index.js. That's how to see the output. Enter. Do you see? You now have two outputs here. You see, the first one is my fruit is banana. The second one is fruit 2 is orange. Do you see? The same fruits, but initially we said fruit equals to banana. So it held that in the memory, in computer's memory, that fruit is banana. But later now reassigned fruits to orange. So in the computer's memory, it has changed beyond line 27. If you tell computer to tell you what fruit is, it will tell you that fruit is orange. But before line 27, if you ask computer to tell you what fruit is, computer will tell you that fruit is banana. So this is what we call reassigning a variable. All right. So the way JavaScript runs its code, the way Node.js runs the code is that it starts from the beginning, right? So when you say node index.js, it will start from line 1. As you can see, there are numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all of that. So it will start from line 1. What is 1? 1 is a comment, so it passes. 2 is empty, it passes. 3, though it's not good to have so much of empty spaces, it's good to have good indentation, sure. But let's just go ahead. So 2 is empty. 3 is 3. It checks. Okay, this is a multi-line comment. It passes. It doesn't execute. It comes to variables. It passes. It comes to this. It passes, and all of that before it comes to line 14, and from there. So when it comes to var fruit, it will now, what var fruit does is that it will create a box. Remember, it will create a box, an empty box. That's what declaring variable is. Then it comes to line 16. In memory again, it will create, still in the memory, it will create another box called basket. Then on line 18, when it comes, it will now create a box called school. Then inside that box, it will now put, inside that box, it will now put Deeper Life High School inside. So if you console.log, if you print school, what you will see is Deeper Life High School. That's what it will come out as the output. So coming to line 20, same thing, going down. Okay, so let's not waste time. I hope we just understand that. You could go back again. So that's variables. And what's the difference between var, let, const? So these are three different keywords. You might be asking, what is the difference between these three and when do you use them? So var keyword, has been since JavaScript started. In many codes, advanced codes, you will not really see var keywords really being used because var keywords are global scoped. So the difference between the three keywords is called scope. The difference between var, let, and const is scope, the issue of scope. What is var? The scope of var. So the scope of var is global. var is globally scoped. Let is function, is block scoped actually, while const is function scope. var is global scoped. Let is, you can say let is block scoped. Yes, block scoped. And you say const is just a constant. That const is just, it remains the same. So you can say it's function scope. It remains the same. It actually doesn't change because you cannot reassign actually. So anywhere it is, that's what it is. It doesn't change. But for all this, for var and let, you can reassign them. So just understand that the difference between the three scope. Okay, so that's variables. So next we have data types. Data types. So this is another topic. Data types. So in JavaScript, you have different data types. So we have strings. We also have let me do a distinction. So one, we have strings. Two, we have numbers. Then we have three, we have strings, numbers, we have Boolean. I'll come to explain what these are. So number 4, we have null. We have undefined. Then number 5, we have null. Okay. So what are these? What's a string? So a string is just basically anything you see enclosed in. So take note of this. Take note of this punctuation. Anything you see in this that's enclosed in this or this one is called double quotes. This one is single quotes. Okay, let me put the single quotes first, then the double quotes, then we have templates strings. So anything you see inside here or here or here at any time in any JavaScript code is called a string, whether it is a number. So for example, you can see 2, you can see 3 here inside. So this 3 is a string, it's not a number. So you can also have a word, you can have, you can say school. So that school is equally a string. Why? Because it is enclosed. Okay, let me type it. It is enclosed in one of the 3 punctuations. 3 punctuations. Or I can use multi-line comment for this, since it has entered the second line. I can use multi-line comment and remove this. So this is part of, this is a continuation, punctuations. Okay, so what are the punctuations? Either you have this, or you have this, or you have this. So any of these three actually works, right? Okay, so any of these three actually works. That would give you what you want, or anything inside here. So you can actually put something here, maybe 6, and you can add it with letters. It will still work. So this is actually a string because it is enclosed in any of these three punctuations. So that's the way it works. Okay, so numbers, of course, we know numbers. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4. Yeah, so 10, 20, 1, 3, you know, your regular numbers. What's Boolean? Boolean is just basically true or false. If it is not true, it's false. So we'll put them on different lines. So either true or false. So that's what a Boolean is. So anyway you see true or false, that's a Boolean. Sometimes it might not even be expressly true or false. It can just be, you know, there are other ways of asking, maybe using signs or some kind of symbols or syntax to ask or to check if something is true or false. So that's, as you keep learning, you get to see that. Undefined. Undefined is actually an undefined keyword. Yeah, or if something is not defined, it is not defined. For example, if we say var, okay, let's say var, so that you see an example of undefined. So let's say var, varchar, for example, varchar. So what are we doing now? Don't forget, we are just, we are declaring this variable. We are not assigning it, so we are declaring the variable. Okay, so varchar. So if I say console.log, that's I want to print out what car is. Car. So if I run this code, don't forget to run, you have to bring up this terminal, then you say node, then the file name, node space and the file name, index.js, you enter. Do you see? So this is the first console.log that we had, which is my fruit is banana, second fruit 2 is orange, then we have undefined. Do you see? Varchar is undefined. So we only declared car, but we never assigned it. Like we only created a box, for example, but we never put any content inside the box. So that's why it's telling us that, oh, car is undefined though. So no, you actually have the keyword null. So there are instances where you see null on your output. We'll talk about that. Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much. I think we end this class here. We've talked about a couple of things which you can go back and look out for. You can watch the video again, you can pause it, you can play it, you can replay it. You know, feel free to go over it again and again to grasp all of these things. We'll continue in our next class. Thank you.